I guess we're live. So welcome to Lana's living room, where I am discussing my explant surgery coming up on Tuesday. And yes, say goodbye. 23 years, major life change. And with major life change, whew, comes the whole rushing in of like major emotions. And the thing that people take for granted is when we go through major life change, there's a mini death, and sometimes it's a major life change that requires a whole grieving process. Change is like death. And when there's change, there's choice, there's opportunity. But most of the times we don't see it in the moment. When we're so deep in our shit, sometimes we can't see through it, right? And when we are feeling emotions, we need to be present with them. Whatever is arising is showing us something deeper, like fear. Fear is really a survival tactic. It's your ego in protection mode. And fear arises for life or death circumstances to prepare you, to get you ready to face everything and rise, or to forget everything and run. You know, there's so many different ways you can interpret it, but essentially, the mind is there to protect you. We can't dissolve the ego. We have to befriend it. We have to recognize there are times when our ego is there and it is protecting us and it is serving us in cases of death. You know, the fear of death, it pops up and then all of a sudden you've got to respond to it. How are you going to respond? But then you also need to learn to discern that the mind can also get caught up in the fear of pain, the fear of repeating lessons, because it only knows what you've experienced. It only knows what it knows. And when something unknown is coming into your environment, and when we're coming through change, we feel it long before it actually manifests in the physical world. So when it's coming into our energy space through the forms of emotions, when emotions are rising, just like the waves, we got to ride them, but we also need to sit with them and honor, like really learn to discern, is this a life or death situation? Do I really have to fear something? Or is it just the awareness that something is dying? Because this is what it is. It knows there's a death there. Your mind knows something's dying, but it doesn't discern whether it's physical, emotional, or mental. Consider that. That's the message today, is that when the mind, when the ego is trying to protect you, it doesn't know the difference between a physical death, a mental death, or an emotional death. It just knows it's trying to protect you. It senses a death of some nature that's coming along. It's on the precipice. It is like, you know, as you get closer to something and you've never done it before, you start to get a little bit like your mind goes out in a crazy tailspin. It starts to go into stories. It creates a scenario like, what if, what if, what if? Worst case scenario, depends on how strong your will is in one direction or the other. What's the best case scenario? Like, you need to train your mind to not just go in the negative tailspin, but also confront it and be like, well, what's the best case scenario? You know, I can think of the worst case. We're all good like that because we were trained to do that. We were trained to think, oh, this is going to be so bad, because when it doesn't know something, it thinks it's the worst. We think that because that's how we've been conditioned. So when we are in awareness of this, we get an opportunity to go, okay, I know my mind will go into the negative tailspin. So this is when I need to also take a deep breath and confront it and challenge it with, but what if this happens? And come up with positive solutions. Come up with like the neutrality. Be present when it's starting to go, because it knows the death is coming. It knows a death is coming because it's the feeling of loss. It's the grieving. It's the, oh my gosh, my life's about to change forever. And when that's happening, like I said, the ego, the mind, doesn't know the difference between it, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. It just knows a major life change, a shift in your life is occurring. And because it doesn't have any information, it's there. It's all about the knowing, the fear of missing out. So when it's in FOMO, it needs to know. It's like, whoa, I need to compare all the worst case situations and everything we've ever experienced, because that's all it knows, and come up with a story around what it could be, as opposed to the fact that you're not gonna know if you've never known. You'll know when you know. That's how life is. So when we are being served up this transformative change, this transformative event in our life, the ego is unable to discern whether it's an actual physical death or a life-changing event, a rebirth. Meaning, yes, something dies off and something is reborn, something is transformed. Something has to be grieved because there is a loss. And when there's a loss, there's a space available to fill it for something new. So when we come into these experiences, it's like, wow, I hadn't considered that. Hadn't even considered that what the mind is really doing is simply just evaluating, how bad is this change? Is it going to harm me? Is it going to kill me? And again, it doesn't know if it's physical, mental, or emotional. And because it doesn't know, it assumes. We all know what assuming does. So it's okay. When you're going through this, you just have to recognize it. And the moment you're in awareness of it, that's the key. And then you can unlock the door to confronting it, to really being present with it and not allowing it to knock you off your balance. Because essentially you need to find balance. You need to maintain a mindful awareness. When you're mindful and aware of your own mind, you know the patterns, you know the trends, you know the beliefs that you hold, and you gotta confront your BS, your belief systems. When you know it, then you're the master. You can control it. You can steer it and train it in the direction you need it to be. And so when emotions come up, because we are going through a lot of change in the world, and that mind is there to protect you. And you should be in awareness of this, that you embrace it, you honor it, you befriend your mind, your ego, and you thank it. Thank you for, thank you for thinking of me. Thank you for watching out for me and protecting me from danger. But let's really sit with this. Is it really physical danger, or is it just an emotional change and an actual mental shift? Because when that holy shift happens, you transform yourself. You're in the pregnant pause. That's the moment during the pregnant pause that we really need to be present the most, because we have to allow whatever comes up. I mean, you don't even need to know all of the details. We never need to know all the details. We have to just be willing to honor and accept that, hey, I had an experience and it caused me something. But when we hold on to it, that's when it causes us the most suffering, when we can't let go of it. It's the resistance to the letting go. It's the resistance to allowing. The push, the pull causes that friction, and that's what creates our suffering. So much. But we're human. And we're humans doing the best we can with what we have. So in order to do better, we have to seek to improve upon what we have and what we know. And be kind on yourself. Be kind on your mind. Be compassionate with your heart. Like, hold your heart sacred. Because you are the holder of your heart. You are the... what is the word I'm looking for? You are the steward of this vessel, this temple, that is housing your soul, and to honor it all, because we came here to have these amazing experiences, not to judge them and put labels on them, because those create limitations, but to really be in awareness that everything is served up to us for our highest and best good. That even when we don't like it, even when we're just wanting to reject it, God served it up to you. And when you're in awareness of that, how could you deny it? How could you reject it? It's there to level you up. It's there to make you stronger, to give you the awareness of who you are and to even steer you in the direction of what you desire. Okay, something didn't work out. Well, guess what? That's course correction time. Rejection is just redirection. Whenever your life, whether you reject yourself or someone rejects you, that's when you need to course correct. It's just a redirection of your life. And maybe it's just because you were going in the wrong way, the wrong direction, that you have an experience that steers you in the right direction. So I know when I receive messages from people, I get all different types of messages. And people who don't even realize it, I know, I don't expect everybody to know who I am. I mean, come on. You see my social media presence. You don't know me 100% behind the scenes. You don't know what I deal with. And I don't have a problem with that because I have to have some privacy, right? And I don't go blurting out all of my beliefs, and I don't try to project my shit on everybody else. I'm just here to share my personal experience the best I can, to inspire, to support others, to empower and uplift you. I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but I do believe that we humans are here to support one another. We're here to wake each other up and not act all Pollyanna and like, things are happening in the world, but you need to focus on the things you can do to take care of you first. So yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff out in the drama world, the political theater and all that stuff. And I'm not a party person. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So when everything's going on out there, that's when you need to go in here. Maybe if you follow me on some of my social media and you don't like what I post, and God bless you, nobody has to agree with everything, but don't attack me. And I'm not here to attack you for your stuff. I have a whole lot of different experiences in my life, and sometimes people come at me calling me names and telling me how I'm this or that, and I'm like, wow, that's not even about me. Clearly I triggered you. Maybe you need to work on that. Actually, that's part of my path. I've learned that over the course of my life. I've had people come at me because I triggered them, and I didn't realize, wow, it's not my place to try to explain myself to you. It's your work to do. If I trigger you, that's not about me. That's you making it about yourself and getting upset. So whatever I share is never intended to hurt or harm anyone. If my sharing upsets you, I'm open to open dialogues, but attacks, personal attacks, name calling, that's just low vibration, people. I'm not here for that. And so tonight I had someone reach out and say some things to me, and I was like, oh, look at that. Do you want to know what my first response was? I was like, wow, I didn't do it though. But I'll tell you what it was. It was, first thing I wanted to say was, fuck off. Because you remember what I said at the beginning of the year? My mantra this year is, don't fuck with me. And if you're going to be a problem, just fuck off. Because I don't have time for it. I don't have time, nor is it it's not my moral obligation. It's not my responsibility to explain where I'm coming from. This person said something, and they said that's not true. I'm like, okay. I said, prove it. Prove it's not true. You don't want to hear it doesn't mean it's not true. But when they said that, I was like, okay, prove it. And then they proceeded to call me a cute conspirator, and I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I don't subscribe to letters. I don't subscribe to any of that stuff. I know what I know. And it just astounds me that I worked in Intel and IT in the military, and people still come at me and want to tell me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm like, you know what? I'm not here to prove anything to you. You go do your own research. And if you can't trust your own inner barometer and you got to attack other people around you, that just means you're just going without and not within. That's just a fact of life. And that's, you can say, oh, and I got this one. Oh, that political stuff and the spiritual wellness, it doesn't mix and match. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you know this past 2 years has proven to me that there are a lot of people hiding out in the spiritual community, trying to act all, oh, life is all rainbows and butterflies. If I just ignore the world, I'll never have to do a darn thing. And I'm like, really? Okay. Yeah. Escapism is real in all walks of life. And I don't attack anybody. I've been attacked a lot over these past 2 years. And I don't take it personal because it wasn't about me. So I'm never here to harm anybody. I'm never here to put anyone down. But if something I say upsets or triggers someone, that's not my responsibility. I am never saying anything in a way that is meant to belittle or berate anyone. And even years ago when my mom was still alive, there were times, and this is just how spirit works, and I have had to come to peace with it. My mother would say things, and somehow energetically her inner child would get me to trigger her, saying words I would never use. And it was never my intention to harm her. It was never my intention to upset her, but it would trigger her. And I'm like, whoa. And I was really present and going, I would never use this word. Why did that stream through me? And I've had that happen with other people too. And it's the weirdest thing. And, people have come up to me and said, Lana, I don't know, maybe you should have softened the way, your delivery and this and that. And I'm like, I can't always explain. Sometimes spirit is just as much a poker and provoker to also bring it to surface for people to be healed. And so in some ways, I have been used as a vessel where I have been on the attack for people who don't want to look at their shit. So yes, maybe I trigger someone and it's not my intention to upset them. But whenever something comes to surface, you can't shoot the messenger. You got to look in the mirror and acknowledge that that person was serving up an opportunity to look at your shit, not to be playing the victim and saying someone did something to you. And we have a lot of that going on in the world, and they're trying to normalize the idea that nobody's ever personally responsible for themselves and the way they react to others. If we truly want to heal the world, we have to heal ourselves. We have to look at our shit and really be present with it and stop trying to say other people did stuff to us. I've had a whole series of experiences in my life that I've had to deal with frustrations and resentments and upsets over, different things that have occurred in my life where I felt the victim, yes. And then I look back at the situation, I'm like, you know what? I also see my part in it too. I'm not proud of either side. And it wasn't, a lot of cases, things that happened to me, I don't think anybody else could have tolerated or gone through. And that's what's allowed me to really honor that I am a strong-willed person and that I am able to overcome and transmute energy and not stay victim to those old past situations. So when things have occurred in my past, like when I lost my job in Italy and I was blacklisted because I pissed off the wrong people, or even during my military career, where people tried to put me under their thumb because I was a go-getter. I was somebody who went above and beyond, and I made people look bad. It was never my intention, but instead of turning around and them being, better, they would rather drag me down or control me. To have supervisors tell me they had to know where I was going on my breaks when they didn't do that to anybody else. Power trips over me? Come on. I actually had a pretty good sense of humor. I didn't like it, and I was a wise ass. But I still was below the zone senior airman. I made rank for staff sergeant quickly. I made rank and state. I was always winning awards when I was in the military, even when they tried to give me problems. But I was always above and beyond and top. So sometimes we threaten people who don't have enough confidence in themselves because they think that the only way to uplift themselves is to put others down. if you can get past the point of seeing yourself as a victim and recognize that's not about you, that people are weak. And sometimes we are on the other end, but that's usually because something in us is weak. And when you find the weak link within yourself and you just work on yourself, strengthen your power, reclaim yourself, all of that, then nobody else can take that away from you. So the strength is within, not the going without. So when people come at me, I'm like, ain't nothing I haven't been through that's going to break me at this point. And so that's why I really truly believe in just staying strong within you. When you know you and someone tries to attack you, you can just be like, you should be able to laugh, honestly. I mean, when I say fuck you off or fuck you, I'm actually kind of humorous about it. And the reason I say it this way is because I've just learned to just, you know what? It's just like, it's like, get off of me. You know what? I didn't ask for that shit. That's kind of how I feel. Like, seriously, I didn't invite that energy. Shake that shit off. Kind of like when a dog or a cat or something, they hurt themselves and they shake it off. That's their nervous system resetting. That's kind of how I feel about it all. And why I'm so passionate about Kundalini yoga with breath work and doing all the exercises and really strengthening the nervous system by freaking it out and like tension release. When you put your body through these different postures and you strengthen the nervous system where you're shaking it out or really powerfully breathing, pushing yourself beyond your limits, that helps you out in the world so that the world can't take you out. So I joke in my classes, I say, you know, we do the freak yoga on the mat so you don't freak out when you go outside in the world. So you don't take out your shit on others because you reclaim yourself and you basically clean out the monkey mind. All that stuff is powerful and it's necessary because in order to affect the mind, we have to go through the body because the body's what stored all of that trauma, all that memory. And so I come back to my breast implants because this is the point of this video, on top of what I just shared about how the ego doesn't know the difference between a physical, mental, or emotional death. So when we are going through major life change, it's just trying to protect you because it knows death is coming. Whether it is a major life change, that's a mini death, or a physical death. You just need to learn to discern and challenge it. So with me, whenever something major is coming up in my life, there are various things that happen. People who do know me, they know I break glass. I broke a glass the other day, actually. I accidentally broke one of my little shot glasses that I put flowers in. I'm like, oh, of course I did, because that's how things roll in my house. I've had little fire things happen too, but fortunately that's not been a recurring theme. I haven't been burning too many candles. Well, I have, but just, you know. But glass is a big one. Or my malas or necklaces will break. I've had them explode. I've had bracelets explode. It's intriguing to me. And it's a universe. It's a language that I know. It's what speaks to me. And everybody has that. You just have to be in awareness of it. So for me, whenever something big is coming, I can energetically sense it. I feel it emotionally. And as I get closer to it, even though I may be excited in the beginning, I watch my mind. I watch and feel my ego and emotions just arrive. Because it's the one that creates the emotion. The emotion is not like a physical thing. It manifests physically if you're not able to hone in and contain and work through it. But essentially, emotion is a mentally created sensation because it's the mind. The mind is the one that has the attachments or the resistances that create those emotions that arise. So my mind is like going, whoa, it's getting real. Holy crap. Holy shift is happening. Like last night when I said, my gosh, 3 days, not even 3 days, you know, in the military, we'd say 2 days and wake up, you know? So tonight and tomorrow night. And I'm going to the hospital. I have to be at the hospital at 5 a.m., people, and that's in Tampa. So that's a good, yeah, well, there'll be no traffic, so it'll probably take a half an hour to get there. And I'm going, wow, this is a lot for me. Because this is 23 years of holding on to grief. Last night I reconnected with 𝑬𝒑𝒂𝒍𝒐𝒏 and Santos Bonacci. I was in their Zoom call on their Syncretism Society video on YouTube. And years ago I was connected to 𝑬𝒑𝒂𝒍𝒐 through the Ridiculously Authentic when Tom went to Kauai, and there was some weird stuff that went on there. And I wanted to reconnect with him because originally my old Facebook account, I was a friend with him, and I had so many connections of people that I was connected to across since 2007 when I had that account. That was my connection to all the different walks of life that I have been dabbling in and a part of for so long. And I had forgotten. He's such a powerful healer, and he's just amazing. And I wanted to ask him if he had any suggestions for healing afterward. But what I really appreciated, he reminded me about, and I know this because I know that like I said the other day, our heart is our electromagnetic battery. It's the electromagnetic field. This for women is also our second aura. We have two, the halo and arc line is what we call it. The halo arc line from ear to ear and from nipple to nipple. And as I was sharing that, you really want to wear natural fiber clothes because that strengthens your electromagnetic field, your aura, your presence, your energy. You know, in this day and age, we are bombarded with technology, satellites, and you know what, G towers, and smart meters, and all this stuff is zip, 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 zip. Wi-Fi, zap, 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 zap. Then you got the food, then you got the water, all of this stuff being poisoned. Our air quality, we don't even realize how much is coming at us, and we never think about how that affects us because that's affecting our circuitry, our antenna, because we are antennas. We are energy. And so we pick up on other people's frequencies, the stuff are all around us, what we put in our food, in our mouths, and a lot of times our emotions, our moods are what affect what we gravitate to and reach for our foods. So the food is based on the mood. So when we're in a mood, we reach for a certain food, right? Comfort food. And then as a result of that food, it perpetuates the cycle, reinforces the mood, and then it becomes this whole zip, 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 zip. And if we're not in awareness of all this stuff that's coming at us, then we freak out because, again, it weakens our nervous system and it really penetrates us. So then we're like, yeah, and everybody wonders why you're exhausted, why you can't sleep, what's wrong with your digestion and everything else. It's an endless cycle loop that we're all in this chronic stress. And these are the stressors around us. So he reminded me how when the body is cut and then something foreign is put into it, how we also, and this is the heart, we collect memory over that time. So from the time I had my breast implants, this is one of the things I've been saying is taking these out is also removing the old memories of an old life of 23 years of this other person that I have been that identified with breast implants, okay? I am not in any form whatsoever of regret because this was experience. I had to have the experience because it's part of my life path is to teach, is to share with others what have I learned from this. The heaviness on my heart, the barrier, the shield, because this is a form of a shield, that the body has created these capsules around the breast. Immediately, as soon as they go in, the body's starting to prepare to protect you from these foreign invaders. That's anything you put in your body. Think of all the different implants that people have put in their body. The body immediately increases the white blood cells, creates the capsule because it wants to, just like in a laboratory, right? you have to sterilize. It's the same scenario the body goes through. Let's put a capsule around it because it doesn't belong in here until we can carry it out of the body, figure out a way to get rid of it. And so also because we're 70% water, right? 70 to 80% water. So the water carries memory as well, and the tissues and the cells and everything else. So for all this trauma and all this grief and this heaviness I inflicted upon my own heart and lungs, because this is the area of the heart and lungs. And I said to my girlfriend yesterday, I spent the day with a girlfriend and we just relaxed and just had a peaceful day. And I said, you know, for me, I energetically know, I can already feel the difference of the lifting of this weight energetically. And then physically, I said, she's another one of my soul sisters where we work really hard to be in awareness and mindful, and we have really wonderful, expansive consciousness type conversations. I said, you know, we're already powerful women. Can you imagine? I said, this is what I got, and I got a total download Friday night. Like the whole download. I'm like, wow. This is a lesson in love. This is truly a lesson in love because this is the heart, ladies. I will never say don't do what you feel you need to do for you. If you feel you want to have implants, you want to have whatever, go for it. You do you. I'm not here to judge you. But pay attention, because I wasn't paying attention when I first had these in. I never paid attention to all the different symptoms that I developed. I assumed, because I was relying on the doctors, I'm having this issue, I'm having that issue. Oh, and the doctors only give you Band-Aids for the symptoms. They don't connect the dots. Nobody ever stopped to question if maybe this was the reason. I never thought about it until these past few years. Until I started reading other people's explant stories, and they talked about how their digestion cleared up just having them removed. Of course, there will be emotional release too, because again, the trauma in the body, that it's been storing the trauma from the original implants, the trauma of whatever grief these implants have also collected, because it's stagnant, old energy. All the different experiences throughout the course of my life, from the time I had these in to the time now that I'm getting them out. This is a huge release. This to me is like a reopening of my heart, a revealing, a return to love, like a true authentic love. And as I said in my last videos, I never thought it was, you know, I always said it was for me that I had them. And of course, at the times I thought, oh, it's for me. But I was easily influenced by, like I said, the fashion industry, Hollywood, modeling. Oh, you're supposed to have the perfect hourglass figure, and I just wanted to fill in my clothes. Now I'm just happy to go back to my natural size. I've had a good run with these. I've had some fun. No denying that. And I'm just as happy with them just the way they were beforehand, because I didn't have a problem with my body before. I just figured, hey, I can get breast implants because it's available. But they still don't talk about, and they know full well the toxicity and the impact that they have upon our bodies as women. And we women, unfortunately, have been on the receiving end of being guinea pigs, and we're paying for it. We have been sold through the beauty industry. And you know what? I love getting dressed up. I love putting on makeup. But over the years, they've only finally come out and talked about how most makeup has carcinogenic products and ingredients in them, that you're putting essentially all sorts of industrial degreasing agents and alcohol and propylene glycol. Back when I was in my I was in my late teens, early 20s, when I was first stationed in Omaha, Nebraska, I got involved with New Ways. It was my first MLM. But here's why I got involved. Number one, I always had this whole fear of getting fat, and I was very much I never had any eating disorders, but there was this thing called skinny dip. Okay, so they were famous for the skinny dip. Basically, you put this cream, you rubbed it on your legs, and then you wrapped them with some cellophane. And I was just like, okay, I'll try it, because I used to get stretch marks in my thighs, and it happens because I would bulk up and my body would readjust and it would end up leaving some marks. So interestingly enough, the one thing I attribute to that company that I really appreciate is it taught me about ingredients and the labels. It taught me about the material safety data sheets and how every ingredient has a material safety data sheet telling you the harmful reactions, what to do, how everything on your labels is listed in the most concentrated ingredients, meaning the first ingredient to the bottom starts out with the most to the least. And that some ingredients don't even have to be listed if they're under a certain percentage, which means they could be putting all sorts of stuff in there and they don't have to tell you what it is. Things like glycerin suffocates your skin, which is your largest living, breathing organ is your skin. Your largest living, breathing organ is your skin. Whatever you put on your skin should be edible. You know what really causes skin cancer? It's not the sun. It's the stuff that gets baked in by the sun. Like the fact that a lot of people put sunscreen on with all sorts of chemicals, and then you bake it into your skin, and that becomes the carcinogen. Because a carcinogen on the skin getting baked in by the sun, basically you get cooked. And carcinogens means cancer causing, but most carcinogens, what you don't realize, means they've also been cooked. So for example, when sugars from cooking, for example, when you caramelize onions, this is the thing, this is such a fine conversation of, borderline where people don't necessarily want to acknowledge they like the caramelized onions and they like the browning or the crispiness of something on their food that's been cooked. But the truth of the matter is when anything browned turns into that sugary crystal that is actually carcinogenic. Now, of course, you're not necessarily going to catch cancer from eating all that stuff. But if your system is weak and you continue to consume things that are sugar carcinogen, and it's everything from, like, actually, I just read this the other day and I was reminded why sugar is so dangerous, is because of the chemicals they use that they soak them in. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they don't talk about that. Everybody just assumes sugar has been processed in a way that's natural. Do your research, people. Do your research. I've been down all sorts of rabbit holes, food-wise, beauty products. Like I said, I learned a lot. Sodium lauryl sulfate, sodium lauryl sulfate, butylene. Anytime you see poly, buta, B-U-T-Y, the laurels, the sulfates, a lot of this stuff is petrol based, and alcohol coming from the petrol base. And then if you see the word citric acid, run, because a lot of people don't know that's coming from GMO corn, and it usually is the derivative of some form of a mold. Yuck, yuck. I use essential oils. Yes, I've done a lot of research. That was another hole not a hole, but that's another thing. When I first was living in, I started with the essential oils when I got into the, oh gosh, I've been using them for years. But when I went to Europe and I had a girlfriend, she reminded me, and she was a Reiki master. It was when I first took my job working for Northrop Grumman in Naples, Italy, and that was in 2003. So in 2003, I got really deep into the essential oils. And my favorite essential oil is helichrysum, that, and then lang lang, and then bergamot. Those are some of my favorites. And I use different suppliers and distributors. I don't have like a one shop all, because I feel like over the years when I was doing research, there are certain companies that have better products than others. And so you can't just put all your eggs in one basket, is my opinion. I stay away from, I'm not a big fan of doTERRA. Young Living's is good. But I'm just not into the MLM stuff. It just burned me years ago. And since I went on that crazy tailspin over there, but the reason I brought this all up is you really just need to be in awareness of everything, because we are getting bombarded by, all this stuff. And the reason that I'm having these taken out is because as I'm talking about having natural fibers on your body, here I am with synthetic boobs. And in that case, what people don't realize is the boobs leak. They leach even if they don't have a rupture. And there's chemicals coming out of it because your body heats up, just like plastics. Think about it. Why would anybody think that having boobs put in their body would be safe when they talk about when you put plastic in the freezer or it gets heated up, it leaches, meaning it creates a gas. So what makes you think these don't do that? Just like when we have mercury in our mouth. So toxic, right? When it becomes gaseous, it's even worse for the brain. It destroys your neurons in your brain. So if anybody out there has mercury fillings, amalgam filling, I can't even speak, right? When you have mercury fillings, do not ever put peroxide in your mouth. I did not know this, and for years I had them. Use colloidal silver, but do not use hydrogen peroxide, because when you put hydrogen peroxide in your mouth when you have mercury fillings, it actually interacts with it and creates the gaseous mercury. And then that leaks into your brain and gets into all your organs. And that's dangerous. They don't tell you that. So great example. You get those bleach strips and you put them on your teeth, but you got mercury in your mouth. Those things have peroxide in them. A lot of things we don't know and we haven't been told. So you have to do your due diligence. You have to do your own research. And trust yourself when you're being guided. I have stuff drop in my lap all the time. My sister and I having conversations earlier today. She goes, okay, I'm always put in these certain places and get to overhear conversations. And so she shared something tonight with me. And I said, yep, I get it. I get it. It's the same thing with me. I'm not always looking for information. It's just served up to me. And I'm like, well, I was meant to have that information. I was meant to have that awareness. So going back to my surgery, I had my pre-op lab work done. And I wasn't too crazy about the part where you had to have a test. Yeah. I had acupuncture done once and I never knew, do it again. I never knew the guy was doing and tried. So this was interesting. So acupuncture, when, this I appreciated. When I was listening to Micah last night, he brought up about acupuncture. He said acupuncture is wonderful to release the energy, but it disturbs the energy, because anytime you puncture the body, then you create a trauma. And so, and I agree with this. I actually really appreciate, he's so wise. He has so much wisdom. And these are the conversations I like to have, because I can appreciate from the perspective of the body. And the other thing being that I also appreciate that the body, we are tuning forks. And I really do believe in the power of our own voice and our own sound and humming and oscillating and just making music with our body, with our mouth, with our movement. All of that is key to unlocking your codes, your keys. Your frequency is your frequent keys. It's all, that's where you really hone in on your true power. And you can really tap in to that wisdom, because it just feels really good. It's like, may feel funny at first. Sometimes even just deep breath in and then sigh it out. Like really release it. That in itself is detoxifying, because when we inhale through the nose and exhale out the mouth, we're also stimulating the vagus nerve. And then it's like, and then what I liked that Micah also talked about this breath, and this other breath that I'm going to share with you, because I used to use this for my cadence when I used to be a big runner, and I still do if I run. So I don't want like stifling my pain moans. I'll want, yes, it's so important. Yeah. Let me see if I can see what you're saying. So yes, menstrual cycle evened out after getting it done. Woo, there you go. You know what really helped me also with my pain and my menstrual cycle is getting Thai massage. Whenever I would get a Thai massage and they get real deep into my psoas, instantly within a day, within 24 hours, even that night, I would start my cycle. Like my body just was flushing out toxins. And that's what the cycle is all about anyway. I am curious too, because I haven't had my moon cycle since after I had my appendectomy. That was the last time I had it. And even though, you know, they say, oh, you know, you stop your cycle, you're probably in perimenopause or menopause or whatever. Now, I haven't had any problems personally. I'm just like, okay, I'm good without it. It's okay. But I know I'm still ovulating too because I know my body. But maybe I get it back. Who's to say you can't? Because there's no age when you're supposed to go through the cycle and change. Your body goes through it when it's ready. And yeah, so that's one interesting thing. But going back to the breath. So my cadence, and I thought this was funny because he was talking about how powerful this it's basically stimulates your nervous system. It's throwing you into the sympathetic so that you can relax into the parasympathetic. Anytime you're doing something that really gives you that sympathetic kind of like, you know, kind of response, that's part of the strengthening to be able to balance out and fall back into your parasympathetic. So that's why it's so important to do certain things, because the only way to strengthen your nervous system is to really shock it. And that's why I'm so passionate about Kundalini Yoga. A lot of times people come to class and they're like, I can't do this. That's your mind. You can do it. And when you do it, you get your chemical reward system too. And that's the power of strengthening the nervous system by shocking it so that you can rebounce back into that parasympathetic, that you have that, you know, coming back from it. After the stress of your surgery, I'm sure you're going to pull it, even your body. Oh yeah, I've been mentally, and I don't know if you saw the other day in my video, I was sharing how when I go to bed at night, I am blessing and loving my body. I am just speaking so much love and compassion and just really like, I love my body. I truly do and always have. Like I honor, like I know how powerful my body is in healing, and that, you know, I've had a lot of things I've healed over the years. And then at the same time, I'm like, well, maybe the breast implants is the real barrier to me healing fully. And I didn't even realize or think about it until all this time. And so going back to this breath, you remember when you were a little kid and you would throw that temper tantrum, or you'd get that, and you basically inhaling through the nose and the mouth. So it's like that type of breath he was sharing. So you do that. So you're inhaling through the nose and the mouth. So, and this is the beauty of having all these holes. We're holy. Yogi Bhajan used to say we're holy because we have ears, eyes, nose, mouth. Was it 7 holes? 2, 4, 6, 7, and then 8, 9. Yeah, I think that's right. 9. I swear I'm forgetting something. Wait, did I say the mouth? Yeah, I did say the mouth. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. You count down below is what I'm talking about. So, no, 8, 9. Sorry, we have 9 holes. That's your holy. So when you do this breath, I know. Hey, I'm all about the humor. I mean, we need more humor infused in life. We're way too serious. You know, this life is really meant to be like, lighten the fuck up, people. Just saying. Lighten up. Stop trying to look for problems. You are the solution. You are the cure. Because the truth of the matter is, if you want to see change in the world, you've got to be the one who's changing. Because that's going to reflect out in the world. Everything in the collective that is like, whatever's got your attention is a reflection of you. So remember that. Attention equals reflection. Whatever you gravitate to, that's just as much you. So where your attention goes is what your reflection is. That's why life is a mirror. Because again, where attention goes, energy flows. And if you're focused on something outside of yourself and you don't like that, that's where you need to go within and heal and clear that. That's only out there because you hadn't worked on it in here. And that's for each and every one of us. There's a great documentary. It was called 𝐒𝐻𝒦𝒂𝒂. And it talks about exactly this. That the average person doesn't want to own the fact that they are contributing to the bigger problem in the world. Each and every one of us has a moral responsibility and obligation to do our own inner work, to do our own healing. Because you want to see that stuff out there change, do it in here. Because when you do it for you, you give others permission to do the same for them. And it's also the inspiration of seeing somebody else change that others go, oh, I can do that too. Or, wow, I want to do that because so-and-so did it. You know, whatever the motivation is, as long as you inspire somebody, they become empowered if they choose to take that. I know, a smile makes such a difference. Just smile at people. I do it all the time. It astounds me that, you know, like I remember when I lived in Italy. See, I grew up as a child, you waved at everybody in town, you smiled at everybody. You know, even with the cars, we used to drive and honk and, oh my gosh, especially in small towns, right? So when I lived in Italy, I'll never forget walking down the street and I smile at everybody anyway. It's just who I am. And I would see these women looking back at me that had this like animosity and like, well, what are you smiling at? And I just thought, that must be really sad. That if you didn't smile back, then that's how bad you're, you know, like something's going on with that person. I didn't take it personally. But it shows me how many unhappy people there are in the world, that if someone's smiling at them, it's an opportunity for them to smile back too. And it's contagious, right? Oh my gosh, right? Yeah. Yeah, we did the same thing. I don't know who that is, but I waved anyway. But seriously, smiles are contagious. Why would you hold back? That's not holding back from the other. That's holding back for you. So if someone smiles at you and you don't smile back, that's unfortunately breaking your own heart. That's not even against the other person. So again, you can do this breath, and it's a great breath for really shaking up that nervous system, for really like getting something out. And it's a good reset because when you shock your system, like we say in Kundalini too, like this, it's just like when the animals shake it off. It's very similar. We did it when we were kids, and we clear out all sorts of junk. So just remember, you have all sorts of tools. The most important tool you'll ever have is your breath. So having my breaths out, going to my pre-op appointment today with my dad. I dragged my dad with me. My dad was cool about it. So stupid. I can't believe people are still wearing masks in these places. Here's my thing, and they're just gonna throw it out there. Hospitals are there to treat the sick. And most hospitals, not that, you know, my grandmother was a nurse. They're not the cleanest. And usually that's where people get sick. Isn't that ironic? How do you focus breath for chakra alignments? There's a certain breath for each chakra. Actually, it's focused attention. And you focus in on the area wherever chakra you feel imbalanced, and you can just breathe and focus on the color. And you can make the different sounds. So actually, I forgot what they are off the top of my head. I guess my mind wasn't there for this tonight. But essentially, each chakra has a mantra, a sound. And like the heart is, this is my favorite one. The heart is yum, Y-U-M, yum. And you can picture pink or green for the heart chakra. You can place your hands on your chakras when you do it, and you can go through the chakras and just whatever. Om is, I think, the third eye. I think it's rum, hum. Yeah, anyway, let me get back to you on that. I'll have to do a video on that. But you can breathe intentionally too. Even if you don't know the sounds, you just place your hand on the chakra and just focus in on it and breathe. I didn't, and yeah, not off the top of my head right now. I know the heart is yam, but I know it's rum, hum, nam, and om. I think there's 7, obviously. And maybe one of them's aum and the other one's om. So I haven't done that in a while. I actually need to do, one of my favorite practices is, what's it called? Chakra Dhyana, the Dhyana chakra. I think it's Dhyana chakra meditation. It's really powerful. And I'll tell you what is funny is the first time I did it, it wasn't as powerful as the second or the few times that I'd done it. Actually, not few times. After the first time, and I had the super powerful sensations through my body with the Kundalini rising. This is just my experience. I'm not going to say everybody's going to have this experience. But the times that I really locked up, if you've had a true powerful Kundalini experience, your body seizes up. Do not move. My leg, my body was so, it was like so powerfully, and it was stiff at the same time. It was the craziest thing. And I went to go move and I was like, I forced it. And I'm like, okay, I won't do that again. Because sometimes your mind's like, let me try this. Anyway, going back to my pre-op appointment. So first off, it's a Sunday, which I'm grateful that I had the pre-op appointment on a Sunday as opposed to during the week when there's a lot of people there. Because fortunately, the universe and God always watches out for me and always takes care of me. Because literally went up to the thing and they're like, the woman going in there, she's like, oh, here's a mask. You have to wear it inside. I said, can I wear my scarf? Well, they prefer that, but since it's a Sunday, they probably won't bother you. I was like, oh, thank you. So then we're good there. And then I get to the pre-op wing, and everybody's really nice. The woman had called me to make sure that I knew where I was going. And I get in there, they drew blood, and then they were telling me I had to do this stupid thing. And I said, listen, I really don't want anything shoved up my nose. Now, I have not, in 2 years, been sick. I haven't been sick in years. And I haven't had to stick anything up my nose. I don't need to be proven that I'm not sick, or that I am sick, or whatever that silliness is. I said, in this day and age, you're not even testing for what they're claiming this is anyway. They haven't even proven it existed, but that's just me. So long story short, I feel very confident with my surgeon. And I said, don't you have a spit test? Because I had another girlfriend said that's what she did. And she said, well, you know, we can let you self-swab, right? They wear them, yeah, they do still. And this is the VA too. So the VA, they claim we're government, you know, land, and you have to wear, you know, like whatever. So I go in there, and she ended up contacting the nurse and the surgeon for the nurse for the plastic surgery. And she said that I could self-swab. Now, first off, I thought it was a totally different thing. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And I did just enough to get the hairs. Didn't penetrate, it wasn't what I thought it was. And it didn't look like what I've seen either. So I was like, and I told her, I said, well, there's all sorts of carcinogenic, you know, stuff on this. And she goes, no, there isn't. We test them. We're on the test team or whatever. We test daily. I was like, okay. So everybody, I trust in God and the universe to watch over me. I did not feel threatened. I did not feel like something was bad out of that. And I'm really like, this is my temple. I am protected. And I wouldn't put myself in a situation that I didn't feel comfortable with. So what I am excited about, I know, it freaks me. Exactly, it freaks me out. I don't like anything up my nose. I don't like, I'm just really finicky about certain things. I didn't even like when they did the TB stuff back in the day. Not TB, yeah, tuberculosis? No, throat thing. Tuberculosis is the other thing. I'm talking about when you get strep throat, the strep throat test. You know, to go in the back of the throat. I don't like that either. So here's the deal. She went off over everything. I got this whole prepping for your surgery book. And my dad can't go and hang out, okay? This sucks. My dad's got to drive me over there. Actually, I'm going to drive and then he'll drive back or whatever he decides to do. I said, listen, I'm really sorry, Dad. So we have to be there at 5 in the morning, which means we're going to have to leave the house somewhere between 4 and 4:30. So I'm just probably going to do an all-nighter, clean the house, just prepare, get as much stuff done as I can do here that I'm not going to be able to do when I'm done, because it's going to be a while and I'll be staying with my girlfriend. Fortunately, I have a beautiful neighbor that's going to watch Buddy. But they basically said I have to arrive in the morning, and the hospital transport staff assists me from the entrance to my procedure area. My dad can't come in, which sucks. They told me not to bring anything in, so I might not even be able to do video, which really sucks because that means I have to leave everything with my dad, and I don't like doing that. But that's what I was told. No solid foods after midnight the night before surgery. No milk. We don't have a problem with that. It's so funny. It says, do not use alcohol, tobacco products for 24 hours prior to procedure. I don't smoke and I don't drink. Examples of water, clear liquids you can have. This cracks me up. You can have water, you can have Gatorade, Sprite, Coke, black coffee, black tea, and apple juice. It's all sugar shit. And I don't understand how that's even, I don't know how anybody could have on an empty stomach coffee and tea and not get the jitteries. That's just me. My body's really super sensitive. And I love coffee, but I haven't been drinking it. So I've been tapering down to prepare for this so that I can do the water fasting and the juice cleansing. Because that's my intention and my plan of attack, my plan of healing. They say not to take anything of aspirin. I don't know what goody powder and BC powder is. Ibuprofen, Advil, Motrin, Aleve, Naproxen, Herbal Supplements. It says 7 days before surgery. I did not know it was 7 days before surgery, but I'm okay. I don't even take any of that stuff anyway. The herbal supplements that I do take are essentially, in the mornings I take niacin, not niacin, NAC. It's anyway. Turmeric. So no turmeric and no like ginkgo biloba and stuff like that. I take magnesium. She said I was okay to take the magnesium. And then I do like the lion's mane. I do the medicinal mushrooms as far as the reishi, cordyceps, the whole mix of all that stuff. And then I take vitamin B12 and I do Biosil, which is for the silica. It says this cracks me up. For hygiene, they want me to take, they want me to shower and shampoo my hair the evening before and the morning of the procedure. No lotion or deodorant. And then they've got this Hibiclens antibacterial soap, which if you read the ingredients, it's a bunch of carcinogens. I'm just saying. From the neck down. Leave on the skin for 2 minutes and do not apply directly to your genitals or rectum because it'll be really, really drying is what she told me because it's alcohol. I'm like looking at her going, yeah, okay, sure I will. When I read the ingredients and it's got the dyes and all this other carcinogenic stuff, I'm like, this isn't just alcohol. This is a shit show. Anyway, the reason they say that is because they claim that, you know, your body carries all sorts of bacteria and it can cause staph infection. And I'm shaking my head going, this body's pretty damn clean when I clean it. And what I put in it is even cleaner than what most people put in it. So what comes out of it is also clean. It says it says reviewing the prep instructions for the day of the surgery. Do not wear cosmetics, nail polish, gel, nails, acrylic nails, do not wear any headgear, hairpins, do not wear jewelry, rings, and body piercings, and don't wear contact lenses, and do not shave the surgical areas. That's not a problem. I don't shave my boobs. Anyway, and then she asked me if I was allergic to iodine or some other stuff, and I gave her all my, because I'm allergic to a bunch of stuff. I know, so I can wipe down with alcohol, and they can rub me with iodine anyways. I know, isn't it crazy? It's like, you want me to double cleanse myself with that crap and at the same time wash twice morning and night? I mean, that's excessive. Like in the grand scheme of things, people, your bacteria is there to protect you. And when our hygiene is over the top and we're over cleansing, We're cleaning off our good bacteria. So all this OCD, obsessive compulsive stuff, that's a mental illness. I'm just saying. So this is where it said wear comfortable, loose-fitting clothing. I've got to make sure I've got a top that I can button or just wrap around. Do not bring valuables, including wallet, credit card, purse, and jewelry on the day of surgery, as the facility does not have a place to secure them and is not responsible for lost valuables. I know, I trust my immune system as well. Unfortunately, at this time, no visitors are allowed into the facility. Family members, drivers, etc. will be required to wait outside the facility. We recommend that if you live in the local area that you wait at home to pick up the veteran. My dad, my poor dad. He's like, I'll just go sleep in the car. I'm like, oh, I feel bad. I'm actually going to have him drive my car because the truck is a gas guzzler. Because otherwise he'd have to drive back here or drive back to his house, and I feel bad. That's just crazy. I think that's wrong. But it's quite a hike for both of us. Ah, yes, totally wearing loose-fitting, comfy clothes for sure. So per the policy, for my safety, it says adults 18 and older required available to pick me up after. You will not be able to drive myself. I looked at her, I said, no worries there. I'm not trying to go anywhere. I'm not going to be able to move my arms. What makes me think I'm going to want to drive, right? It says your driver must be immediately available at the time of discharge. And then again, I go back to my poor dad. Like, we don't even know what time I'm going to get out. That's so messed up. Failure to follow the above instructions may result in cancellation of your procedure. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. I think I'll be fine. So Tuesday at 5 a.m. I have to be there. And what else we got? I have to, the nice thing is I know I already talked about the fact that, what's going on there? I have to talk to the anesthesiologist when I go in on the day of surgery because I told her, I said, last time I had general anesthesia, I know the nurse didn't know what kind of anesthesia because she said it's just general anesthesia. I said, yeah, well, that's what they supposedly used when I had my appendectomy and I was pulling hair out because it caused my hair loss. And I don't want to go through that again. That was really like traumatic. And my hair's finally just been growing in so nicely lately. So that's one thing. So I want to make sure that they know that. I'm going to write up a list of things that I would like my surgeon to consider. At least on the paperwork that she showed me, it did show that I am having a total capsulectomy, which is the end block, which what I requested was to have the entire thing. Does he like to do puzzles or something? Yeah, maybe my dad will find something like that. He'll probably be on his cell phone, just on his, watching videos and stuff. That's one thing. So end block, it's a total bilateral capsulectomy. It's because I said to the nurse, I said, I want to make sure that the capsules are completely taken out. I don't even want to take a chance. That way, when they take them out, there's no chance of like leakage, or if there is a rupture is what I'm saying. Because if either one has a rupture, at least if they're in the capsule, then we know we take it all out together, which is the whole point of the capsule because the body's trying to protect it. So then I have to also request a full, official, comprehensive, what do they call it, pathology testing, so that they show testing for bacteria, mold, fungi, inflammatory cells, foreign materials, as well as, it's called CD30, which is a form of breast cancer that's associated with the implants. And I told you the other day when I did my other video that when I spoke to pathology, I'm still like, I shared this with my girlfriend earlier today. I said, this is just my brain, but how many women out there or people out have been tested for cancer and were told they had cancerous cells, but their tissue was preserved in formaldehyde, which is a known carcinogen? Because the pathologist explained to me that essentially what they do is they test the tissue, but they maintain the tissue with the breast implants in formaldehyde, because I was asking her to make sure that I could have them back because I want my implants back. And she's like, well, I just want to let you know that if we give them back to you, we have to inform you about the the known chemicals, the carcinogenic, because they're preserved. And I was like, wait a minute. First off, aren't they supposed to be safe in your body? And now you're telling me they're chemical hazards? And she goes, no, it's because we preserve them in formaldehyde for 2 to 3 weeks so that if they do need to test them again down the road and for some reason, that they have preserved them. Now, this is how my mind operates. How do they discern that if they have to test and now they've been soaked in a known carcinogen, how are they able to not know that maybe it became carcinogenic as a result of soaking it in that? I don't know if it's just my mind and the way it thinks, but that's just me. Because to me, it's contaminated now. You don't have, it's not preserved in a way that, yeah, exactly. Thank you, right? Like, how do you determine, here's the healthy cells and here's the shit? Because to me, now it's a mix. It's a soup. And you can't separate a soup. I don't care what kind of person you are. Anyway, especially with all this craziness in the world. Anyway, so she told me that, and I was like, I didn't get into that conversation with her at the time. I just was like, well, thank you very much for informing me, because I didn't know this. So yeah, this is me over here, ready to go in under the knife. Hard to believe. It's finally coming up. We're under 48 hours. Wait a minute. 36? Wow. This is like really like, I mean, seriously, last night, because I had such a nice day with my girlfriend, it like hit me. I'm like, oh man, do I have enough time to do everything I need to do? Because I don't know about anybody else. I like to clean my house. My sheets are already done, so the bed's clean. And I won't be coming back for a week because I'll be staying with my girlfriend Dee. Really excited about that because it'll be just a nice break and no pressure. And then my neighbor taking care of Buddy. I know he's not going to be too happy without me here. He's been, you know, they know. Animals know. He knows. He's like up my butt and just like, Mama, I want some attention. He's such a sweetheart. And the last time I went to the surgery for the appendectomy, he was, I mean, he sleeps up underneath the bed. He can't get up underneath me any more than he does because he really went through separation anxiety basically when I had to call 911 and the paramedics came to get me and I was like curled up in a ball and in my underwear and a sheet and they dragged me out and Buddy's barking and barking. He was not a happy dog. And then when I came home, he was like so freaked out, like, oh, I missed you. I felt so bad. So, but yeah, I mean, literally, like, you know, when you start to get closer to the shift, to the manifestation of the actual event, yeah, your emotions, like stuff starts really coming up. And I'm over here going, I know it's not bad. But I also see where I'm going through the process of the grieving in the interim, in the waiting. And sometimes we're just like, oh, can we just get this over and done with now? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to being on the other side. But at the same time, it's like, you got to get there first. So it's sometimes you want to speed it up and sometimes you're like, can I back out now? Because that's what happens. The mind's just there trying to protect you. I know this. I'm listening to it going, you don't know the difference between a physical, emotional, and mental death. Okay, I get it. That's your job. You're here to protect me from death. And life is, you know, life is a series of mini deaths. And we've just never acknowledged the fact that those mini deaths can be mental, emotional, or physical. We just never acknowledge it that way. Hey, Errol, nice to see you. Wonderful. Oh my gosh. Long time no chat, right? So, yeah, saying goodbye to the boobies. It's exciting. Saying goodbye to an old past life, basically, at 23 years. And when I think about that, I just know. I know there'll be more emotions that will come through. And, you know, your body's amazing. Your body can heal itself. I know it will bounce back and it'll fill up and fill in and everything will be fine. Because I know my body is a quick healing, amazing machine, computer. Because seriously, we don't give our bodies enough credit. I trust my body. I know how powerful it is. I've seen what it can do. Hey, you know, been with it for like 47, almost 48 years now. But yeah, there's emotions, and I just want everybody out there to know I appreciate all the well wishes and all the love and all the support and the blessings and the prayers, because I'll take it all, every little bit. I appreciate that. You know, I am open and willing and allowing people to show up for me right now because I know I'm going to need it. And anybody who wants to come by my house and help me, I'm more than open to receiving. I'm looking forward to spend some time with some friends who will be able to come and, you know, take care of me and just spend time with me. I appreciate that. Thank you, Errol. Yeah, so for a week I'll be with one of my girlfriends and probably just sleeping the first 24, 48 hours, honestly. I've already ordered my juices. I have a whole bunch of juices that I ordered from Escape Route. So I'll be good for a week of juicing and fasting and waters. And I don't have a plan to eat a lot of solid foods. I just want to really let my body heal itself. Allow it to, the least amount of food that you eat is the quickest and best way for your body to heal and bounce back. Because when you fast, your body goes into that healing. It doesn't have the distraction of a full stomach that it has to sort out and digest, whereas when you fast, it can focus fully on the healing aspect. And I think that fasting is a very unappreciated, unexplored, and most people are afraid of not eating. Oh, I have to eat. I have a regimen. I was actually joking with my girlfriend. She's like, oh, I have to eat at these times. I just know how I am. I'm like, yeah, okay. I know. I used to be like that too. But that's a mind. It's a story. We create stories all the time. Everything is a story. If you believe it, that's your story and that's your truth for the moment. But you can change that. So when you change your story, you can change your life, but you got to get in your mind and be an awareness of it first. You can't change something, change anything unless you are willing to face it and be an awareness of it, honor it, and own it. So it doesn't own you. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's my update. And yeah, I'm just going to rest. I'm going to give my body the opportunity to heal. I'm in no rush. I'm excited. It's a new chapter. It's a lesson in love, people. I'm not here to condone or condemn. I'm just sharing my experience and hoping that this empowers and reminds people that our bodies are amazing, and that when you really tap into the wisdom of your body and you love it and you're really compassionate with yourself, that ripples out. And then where attention goes, energy flows. Where the gratitude is what you're going to create more of. What you anticipate, you create. So anticipate more magic and miracles in your life. Like, you get to create that because it's the mind. All begins in the mind. So I hope you all have a wonderful, amazing evening. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Without implants anymore soon. Whew, this also feels like, to me, like my heart is going to be just that much more powerful and that much more supportive and open, not only to giving but receiving too. Like, maybe part of my life has been hampered because honestly, I put up a shield. My breast implants are a form of a shield, and I never thought of it that way. Then maybe that's one of the reasons that I haven't had a deep love in my life for a very long time. So I look at this as, what's it going to draw in? How much love can I give, and how much love am I going to receive as a result? When you take off the shield, you are impenetrable. Because when you radiate out, nothing can come at you. When it comes all from within, everything outside will just be wiped out with all the love. That's how I'm feeling it. It's like power stance, whoa, in your face. And my spiritual name is Sundari Kirinkar, the lioness princess goddess that radiates the beauty of God, which I interpret as love, at you like a beam of light you can't deny, like I'm in your face. And you know what's funny? That's what I was saying earlier about how sometimes people somehow draw out of me, like spirit comes through me. People get me to say words that I would never say. And I'm like, wow, I have been a vessel. I have been an instrument for God to work through. And sometimes maybe people don't see that. Working as a catalyst doesn't always come across in the way that people want it to be, but you have to honor and be grateful for anything that's served up for you, because it's served up on a silver platter whether you like it or not. It's your resistance that causes the suffering, that's all. So have sweet dreams. Continue to follow. I will keep you updated as much as possible. I don't know if I'll be able to do any videos in the hospital, but we'll see. So good night, sweet dreams. I love you.